My name is Kenny Nelson. I'm 83 years old.
When we got to India, again, a fleet of ambulances were waiting to take our sick people off the ship. We've all heard of the untouchables. These people, all they owned was a piece of cloth around their hip. They lived in the streets. They took their showers in the streets. This is an example of what we saw. One day I was in a park and I saw these snake charmers with a cobra. I came up behind it and got this picture. Then I bumped into something, and I looked down, and I was in a bunch of baskets holding snakes. I very quickly moved away. A couple days later, the first sergeant says, "We're sending you to China. The Chinese government is building an airfield for us so we can bomb Japan." This is flying the Himalayas. This is the highest range of mountains in the world. Now, the one group that I really looked up to were the combat crew members that flew cargo into China. They lost over 400 airplanes during the war and over 2,000 crew members. They were in these old planes, way overweighted, and no protection whatsoever. Here we are in China. It took 70,000 coolies to build our airfield by hand. It's the most amazing thing I ever witnessed. In this case, you see them rolling this huge roller to compress the soil on the runways. You see a B-29 coming into China, and you see the crews over on the side. Little kids, 15 years of age, have the job of taking the stones out of the river and cracking them into gravel. Everything was done by hand. This is Kunlai, China, a village just outside of our airfield. Now, we had the runway and two buildings, the control tower and the intelligence building. This is where I worked, on the runway. We had a village 2 miles away, built like a Chinese village, and scattered across the country. There was no fence around it and no guards. They didn't want to give the impression of a military encampment. Here's the back alley in Kunlai. You can see how primitive the people are. It was the first combat mission in China going to Japan. And these are the navigators plotting out their positions. This is a crew at night getting their final instructions. Their target was Imperial Yawata, Japan, the iron and steel works. This factory built 56% of all iron and steel in the country. Now here's Yawata, Japan. And you can see the smoke coming up over the area. This was photographed a day after the actual bombing, so we could analyze and determine, did we have to go back and redo the job.
We left at 5 o'clock going east from Honolulu over the hills to the pineapple fields, and then north, and cross over the North Beach heading towards California. I got up the next morning and was having my coffee sitting in the front and looking out over the window. And off in the distance, I saw what looked like a rough pencil mark on the horizon. That was my first glimpse of California. Just to the north, I could see the twin towers of the Golden Gate Bridge. All of a sudden, without warning, the pilot made a sharp left turn and started flying away from our track. Well, at that moment, anybody who was asleep roughly woke up, and the others all are on the radio. "What's going on up there?" And the pilot says, "Don't worry about it. We're under a wartime rule. No aircraft or ship can approach the California border before 7:30 in the morning." We made good time last night, and we got here at 10 after 7. So we're going to have to stay out here over the ocean flying lazy 8s until 7:30. Otherwise, we're going to alert all the anti-aircraft guns along the California coast and all the fighter squadrons, wondering who we were. So at 7:30, they said, okay, we can go to California now. So he says, we are the last B-29 coming in from the Pacific. We are the very last one. And he says, we're going to let them know who we are. At that point, he brought the airplane down as close as he could to the beach, and he speeded up at full power. We must have rattled every window in San Francisco. When we crossed over the bay, we were down at the deck level of the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge. People were stopping on the bridge and waving. We made our final stop at Mather Air Force Base, just outside of Sacramento. The pilot said, now be sure to check everything and get all your equipment out, because I'm locking up the plane and another crew is going to fly it down to Arizona this afternoon. So we got out and we all assembled around the nose wheel of the airplane outside. One of the gunners fell to his feet and kissed the earth. We understood his feeling. We made it. We had circled the world. We had gone through combat, and we were the lucky ones that made it home.